Hello, American patriots. Are you a supporter of the Second Amendment? Are you a responsible gun owner? If so, then you know the day will come that you're going to need a trusted and qualified gunsmith. When that day arrives, I want you to contact the man that I trust with my weapons, Mr. Delaney Jackson, owner of Jumpin, a gunsmith and appraisal. Besides being a professional gunsmith, Delaney is a true American patriot. And, a little trivia for you, he's also the manager and guitar player for country music legend Mr. Mark Chestnut. So when the time arrives, take your weapons to the man who treats my weapons like they're his own, my trusted friend, Mr. Delaney Jackson at Jumpin' Jack's Gunsmith and Appraisal. Contact information and website information is in the description of this video below. Thank you and God bless.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, American patriots, and welcome to another edition of the Douglas Ducote Show. You have many places you can be tonight, but you chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Happy Breakfast Taco Day. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look that up. Attach Jill Biden's name to it. So let me explain to you why I'm late starting, because this is just absolute insanity, but it's kind of funny. We had everything all set up, ready to go. I go to log into my computer, and it's got a fingerprint scanner. And so I go to scan my fingerprint, it wouldn't accept it, because earlier today, I had to use some caulking and fill in some holes on the side of a wall, and there was some, I think it's called stuff. It's basically a spray foam that you can fill up a hole with. And I'm using my finger to wipe off the excess, and it gets caked all over your fingers, and some of it wouldn't come off. So over time it will, but it would not accept my fingerprint. So then we went to log in with a PIN, wouldn't take my PIN. Long story short, we had to go through several different options, but we got the computer up and operating the way it's supposed to, and we will do the show. If you haven't already done so, I hope that you will check out the videos I've done over the past week, showing you some great American history when it comes to our military. We did one recently with the USS Drum submarine down in Mobile, Alabama. Really cool place. And then yesterday we went up to Alexandria and did one from the air park there at the former England Air Force Base. Okay, getting right into tonight's show, directly from the AP. On Friday, last Friday, left-wing conservative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, belittled Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh after it was reported that he was chased out of a D.C. steakhouse by protesters angry over the Supreme Court's reversal of Roe versus Wade. The congressman tweet began, "Poor guy. He left before his dessert because he decided half the country should risk death if they have an ectopic pregnancy within the wrong state lines. It's all very unfamiliar to him." That's what she tweeted. The least they could do is let him eat cake, she said. She didn't stop there, blasting people who believe that his recent treatment of the justice was beyond the pale. I will never understand the pearly clutch over these protests. Republicans send people to protest me all the time, sometimes drunk and belligerent. Nobody cares about it unless it's a Republican in a restaurant. Can someone please explain the obsession? Because I don't get it. Well, first, AOC, let me explain to you that I get attacked constantly. There's people that watch my show just to go on YouTube and belittle me. So you're not immune to it. None of us are. Conservatives on Twitter blasted the lawmaker for her callous post, with the Daily Wire, Matt Walsh, reminding her that she has demanded sympathy for feeling threatened during the January 6th riot when she allegedly wasn't in the Capitol building at all. Others alleged her tweet spread disinformation. Politico reported on the incident, stating that Kavanaugh fled Morton's in D.C. on Wednesday night due to the presence of protesters. Protesters soon showed up out front, called the manager to tell him to kick Kavanaugh out of the restaurant, and later tweeted that the juice was forced to exit through the rear of the restaurant, the outlet wrote. A spokesperson for the restaurant decried the incident, stating, Honorable Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh and all of our patrons at the restaurant were unduly harassed by unruly protesters while eating dinner in our restaurant. Politics, regardless of your side or view, should not trample the freedom at play of the right to congregate and eat dinner. Along with other liberals on Twitter who seem to revel in the harassment of Kavanaugh, AOC rejected the Morton's rep statement. In a Twitter thread, she made light of Kavanaugh's treatment and implied he deserves it for ruling undo the constitutional rights to an abortion. Now, somebody else did that recently. That would and wherever they're at, whether it's in a restaurant or anywhere out in public. And people did just that. And it's absolutely shameful that it had to happen that way. So let's talk facts about the Supreme Court tossing out Roe versus Wade for all those liberals and Democrats that are too stupid to understand what's really going on here and what their action actually did. The court's decision does not stop abortions in America. I'll repeat that, AOC, liberals and Democrats. The court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade does not stop abortions in the United States of America. The court's decision only puts the choice back to the states and not rule of law across America. It's up to the states to make the decisions. To simplify this, in its easiest words that you might be able to understand, if you get pregnant and decide you would prefer to take your baby's life instead of delivering the baby into this world, you can still do that. You and your baby can simply drive, walk, ride a bike, take a bus, train, plane, taxi, Uber, or ask a friend to drive you to any blue state, any of them. And they're not all going to be red, trust me, we all know that. Any blue state, it's got a Democrat governor, and your wish will be granted. The court ruling does not, I repeat, does not stop abortions in this country. Will y'all please get off of that no merit talking point? But they're not going to. They're going to keep it up all the way into midterms because they say, oh, this is on the ballot. This is on the ballot. You bet your ass it's on the ballot. And not only is it on the ballot, but so is open borders, defund the police, all the violence that the left is doing, like Antifa and BLM, the economy, the cost of gas. There's all kinds of shit going to be on the ballot. And Democrats, let me explain to you, all you got to do is look at Joe Biden's poll numbers. There's not a president in our history with this type of sinking poll numbers this close to midterms that survived keeping the House and Senate. Per C-SPAN, a Senate Judicial Committee hearing on abortion and the legal consequences of the Supreme Court decision in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization blew up during a tense back and forth between Senator Josh Hawley, Republican, Missouri, and Berkeley law professor Kahia Bridges, when the senator questioned her characterization of who can get pregnant. You're going to love this. After Bridges referred to people with a capability for pregnancy, Hawley asked if she meant women. When the professor stated that some women cannot get pregnant and that some transgender men and non-binary people can, Hawley questioned whether abortion is really a woman's rights issue, as it has historically been presented. This led the professor to accuse Hawley of creating a dangerous situation with this question. I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing them, said Bridges, who teaches courses in family law as well as reproductive rights and justice. This woman should not be teaching anything. Anything. Men can't get pregnant, you dumb ass. It's not fucking possible. It's humanly not possible. Why are we doing this across the country? Why? That's going to be on the ballot, trust me. Wow, you're saying that I'm open to people to violence by asking whether or not women are the only folks who can have pregnancies, Hawley asked. Bridges responded by stating that 1 in 5 transgender people have attempted to commit suicide because of that line of questioning. Look, if you're transgender and somebody says you can't have a baby through the normal process inside the human body and you commit suicide, you're going to do it anyhow, because I'm sorry, you weren't born a woman. You can cut off your pieces. You can remove your penis, have a vagina put in there, take hormones, grow boobs. You're still not going to be able to have a baby. It's not physically possible. There's no way on God's earth that a man can produce a baby out of his body. Trust me, this is going to be on the midterms. People are going to remember this stupid shit. Hawley shot back. So, we can't talk about it? Bridges said Hawley was causing a problem by denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist, which is not what happened. Republican senator questioned the idea that he was denying that trans people exist by asking a question about women getting pregnant. Bridges then offered Hawley a test. Do you believe that men can get pregnant? She asked. No, the senator said. I don't think men can get pregnant, Hawley replied, leading Bridges to state that this means he denies the existence of trans people, and that leads to violence, she said. This is how you run your classroom? Are your students allowed to question you? Are they also treated like this? Where they're told they're open to people to violence by questioning? Bridges said that she and her students had a good time in her law school class and suggested Hawley could come for himself and visit. You should join. You might learn a lot, the professor said. I want to go. I want to go to your class. I would love for you to explain to me how a man can have a baby. It ain't going to come out of his penis. The only other hole is his butt. Is it going to come out of his bowels? Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot just from this exchange, he replied. The senator then commented on Twitter that the conversation summed up Democrats' position. The Democrats say what they really think: men can get pregnant. And if you disagree that men can get pregnant, you are transphobic and responsible for violence, he tweeted. The Democrats love to talk about what all is going to be on the ballot in November in midterms. Stupid shit like this is going to be on the ballot. I guarantee you. Anyone that's an educator of our children that is telling them that men can get pregnant need to be terminated, fired. You do not deserve to be in a classroom. Men cannot produce a baby out of their body, madam. Stop with the stupid silliness, please. I mean, if I was still a Democrat, I'm not, but if I was, I would be calling this bitch out, going, you're making us look like fools. We're about to lose the House and the Senate because of stupid shit like this. Not to mention the open borders and the drugs flowing across and the sex MS-13 gang members and the sex and violence and the sexual trade of women and children and the defund the cops and what's happening to our economy. That's all going to be on the ballot. Every damn bit of it's going to be on the ballot, to include Roe versus Wade. You think it can't get any stupider than what I just read to you? It's on the news. If you think it can't, well, you're going to love this next one. Per the World Health Organization, it's on their website right now as I speak. The World Health Organization will update its gender guidance to reflect its belief that gender goes beyond non-binary, the organization announced. The World Health Organization has an existing gender misstreaming manual, which argues that there are many genders existing on a spectrum from male to female. The organization now says that does not go far enough. The updated guidance will focus on highlighting and expanding on the concept of intersectionality, which looks at how gender power dynamics interact with other of the privilege of disadvantage, resulting in inequality and different health outcomes from different people. The World Health Organization website reads at the same time of reporting. The update was also emphasized going beyond non-binary approach to gender and health to recognize gender and sexual diversity, or the concept that gender identity exists and that sex is not limited to male or female. Look, there are only two possible fucking ways to come into this world. You're either male or you're female. There is nothing else out there. Now, you can decide you want to identify with whatever the shit you want to. If you want to identify as a fucking water bottle, do it. If you want to identify as trans, do it. Or gay or bisexual, do it. I've got gay friends, and they're laughing at this shit, going, they're making us look like a bunch of fucking idiots. They're laughing at it. It's stupid. And it just keeps getting stupider by the day. And now the World Health Organization, the same people that we had to listen to about the jab and everything else related to it, are telling us about all these different ways that you can have, I will tell you this much. I do know that there are people, male and female, that are born with deformities. That's not what we're talking about here. Males are born that don't produce testosterone. That's not what we're talking about here. So there are ways that a man or a boy may want to become a girl because of the way they were born, or vice versa. But it doesn't change the chromosome. And until you can change the chromosome, shut the fuck up, because it's not happening. Call it what you want. Wear a fucking clown suit and sing yippee-hi-yo. It doesn't matter. You can't change it. The World Health Organization has faced criticism in the U.S. and other Western countries for its handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. The organization continuously repeated false data coming out of China and otherwise carried water for the communist regime in the early days of the outbreak. The U.S. withdrew its membership from the World Health Organization under former President Donald Trump, and then Biden put us back in it. Republicans in Congress have sought to curtail any authority the WHO has. Representative Mike Rogers, Republican Alaska, also introduced legislation calling for the U.S. to leave both the World Health Organization and the United Nations permanently in June. Rogers argued the UN has repeatedly proven itself to be an utterly useless organization. Oh boy, have they ever. The Charter of the United Nations states the UN mission is to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights and the dignity and worth of the human person and the equal rights of men and women of a nation, large and small. Oh, wait. It says men and women. Holy shit. In your own policy, you're screwing it up. You got to go in there and change that, World Health Organization. You can't say men and women because people can be other things. Isn't that what you're telling us? However, Michelle Blackett, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, has proven herself to be nothing more than a puppet for the Chinese Communist Party, aiding that the CCP is playing down the real and horrifying genocide being carried out in places like Urals, places like Africa, all over it. There are people being slaughtered because of their beliefs. In the Middle East, come out in Saudi Arabia as gay or transphoba or trans anything, or in Afghanistan. Hell, pick a Middle Eastern country and see what happens to you. Here in America, we accept you to be whatever the hell you want to be. It's that simple. I don't care what you do behind closed doors. I do care if you want to dress up like a circus clown and go to a school and put on a play as a guy dressed as a girl, or not even dressed as a girl. They dress as like something out of a freaking circus. And give story hour and shit. Queer story hour is one of the things I recently heard them talk about. And it's like, that shit's not okay. We don't go around. Speaking of, let's just stop a second. Good gosh, this pisses me off. California, particularly San Francisco, New York, particularly New York City. Those are just two major cities that I just announced. There's many other ones about what I'm fixing to say, but let's just focus on those two. During Pride Month, every year, they have a Pride Day, which is typically, or a Pride Weekend, which is typically like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And they allow them to dress any way they want in their parade, to include no clothes, completely naked, in front of children. Now, if anyone did that outside of that day, they would be arrested and charged as a sex offender. But they allow it for this pride stuff. Now, again, I have gay friends that look at this and go, they're making us look like fools by doing this stupid shit. and they are. And somehow it's getting worse. It's not getting better. And this current administration is hell-bent. They actually have a person in the administration that's responsible for being, the czar for trans people. Again, Republicans and conservatives, we don't give a shit what you do behind closed doors. We don't care what you identify as. But don't be shoving it down our throats saying stupid shit like men can get pregnant. Because they can't. The mother of a slain 4-year-old from the south side of Chicago asked city officials why they have not done more to fight crime, so other parents would not have to bury their children. It's been over 300 days since my son was murdered, and still no one is in custody, said Angela Gregg, whose son, Michael Morty Jr., was shot and killed last year. My heart breaks every single day that I don't have my son here. There have been 344 murders in Chicago so far this year, and we're just halfway through the year. While crime complaints are up 34% compared to last year, according to city data. Last year was the deadliest year in Chicago in a quarter century, while 31 children ages 0 to 17 had been killed since the beginning of 2022, according to the data from the Chicago Sun-Times. Government officials provided blanket statements about gun violence and call for additional resources when shooting like MJ's occurred, according to Gregg. As many children are dying here, it's like no one listens. No one bats an eye, and that has to change. What changes by you voting Democrats out of office. Because, look, there was a time not too long ago when we had a black president who appointed a black Department of Justice head. And they never even blinked an eye at Chicago. And Obama started his campaign up there. And then, let them kill each other. That's how they looked at it. Government officials provided a blanket statement about gun violence and called for additional resources in the shooting. MJ was shot over Labor Day weekend in 2021 while he was getting his hair braided with his father. Greg was out getting snacks for my son when MJ was shot. I heard the gunshot, so I actually was in the parking lot of the apartment complex when the bullet started going off, Greg said. And my initial thought was, just stay in my car, like duck down and be quiet. Shortly after hearing gunshots, she received a call from the beautician who said that her son had been hurt. I hopped out of my car and I ran into the apartment, and that's when I saw everything. 2 bullets struck him in the head, and he didn't survive. It was 27 gunshots that went off that day, Greg said. 27. And 2 of those bullets struck my baby, she continued. MJ was hit in the head by 2 stray bullets while in the chair getting his hair done. The beautician was hit by glass resulting from the shots. MJ's father was not hit. MJ was bubbly, brilliant, and loved building sandcastles at the beach, his mother said. Everyone would have wanted a son like MJ, his mother said. Greg said she felt numb after the incident. I was in shock. My body just shut down, Greg told Fox News. When the doctors told me what they said, that there was nothing they could do for him, I couldn't feel anything. I really couldn't believe it, she said as she held back tears. Since the shooting, Greg has been fighting to find out who is responsible for his murder, but says there have been no progress. There are no suspects in custody, and the case remains open 10 months after his murder. Greg said she would like to see more special investigation units in Chicago to address the shooting to her son. or about her son's death and others, and that there should be harsher punishments for people who kill children. Again, madam, first off, let me say that I'm so sorry that you had to go through something like this. I can't even imagine what that would be like, nor would I even attempt to imagine what that would be like to have your son or your child killed by gun violence. But just look where all the gun violence has taken place in America, where all the major crimes are happening. Where's it at? San Francisco, LA, Oakland, Chicago, Memphis, Philadelphia, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, up the East Coast, up the West Coast. Where's it happening? Well, if you haven't figured it out yet, let me help you. Democrat-run cities. That's where the majority of the people are being gunned down and killed. And who's doing it? Let's just be honest. Let's be factual here. As one of my very good Army buddies that I served with recently said to me, and he's black, by the way, Doug, it's blacks killing blacks. It's a genocide. It's an epidemic. And it is. Most of the crime happening in America when it comes to shootings and death are blacks killing other blacks in inner cities run by Democrats. Now, Democrats and liberals, you can try it all you want. You can post link after link after link of shit that you found from far left liberal sites about how that's not true. And it is. That is factual information. You do not see this type of violence happening where there are Republicans in charge, because we don't put up with that silly shit. This is a reason why you don't see Antifa going into cities that are controlled by Republicans. So if you live somewhere like Chicago and you want something done about gun violence, sadly, you either vote the Democrats out of office or you move to a red state. That's the only way it's going to change. Per Washington AP, Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez used a visit to the White House today to call for rejecting the status quo on the border, but also praised the relationship with the U.S. that both he and President Joe Biden insist remains strong despite a series of high-profile policy disagreements. In lovely comments at the start of the meeting with Biden, Lopez touched on the New Deal politics back from Franklin Roosevelt and chided conservatives. He also vowed that the U.S. and Mexico should close ranks to help each other, aimed spiked inflation and border challenges brutally underscored by 53 immigrants who died last month after being abandoned in a sweltering tractor trailer on a remote back road in San Antonio. Though in the past he's not shied away from U.S. criticism, Lopez struck a positive tone with Biden while heaping praise on Vice President Kamala Harris. Biden was equally conciliatory, saying, we see Mexico as an equal partner, and shrugging off differences of opinion on policy with Lopez. You and I have a strong, productive relationship, and I would agree a partnership. That was a departure from last month when Lopez declined Biden's invitation to the Summit of the Americas in Los Angeles after unsuccessfully arguing the U.S. to include it in the leaders of Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, all countries with anti-democratic regimes. The Mexican leader Also called U.S. support for Ukraine and its war with Russia a crass error and criticized the U.S. for moving more swiftly to provide military funding to Ukraine than financial aid to Central America. Speaking of the migrant deaths in Texas, which included people from Mexico and Central America, Biden said, "We know we have to meet these challenges together." He said, "And the U.S. and Mexico agree on the need to increase opportunities for legal migration." Now listen closely. Here's the small print. Especially since more workers can help alleviate the U.S. labor shortages and potentially help calm rising prices. This is a proven strategy that fuels economic growth as well as reduces irregular immigration and migration. Biden said immigration has been a political flashpoint for Biden as top Republicans have pointed to a rising number of people from Mexico and Central America crossing the southern border illegally, while slamming the administration and top Democrats for not doing more to slow it. Lopez acknowledged those criticisms, but said the situation at the border will require solutions, not just politics. The way out is not through conservatism. The way out is through transformation, he said. Transform, not maintain the status quo. How about do this? How about send your Border Patrol agents and your law enforcement officers and your military to the fucking border to keep your people there? That sounds like a great idea to me. And then have your military and law enforcement go take out the cartels. Sounds like a freaking great plan. And when you do that, there'll be a lot of people in America that would love to go back to Mexico and vacation again that don't because we don't want to die. I'd rather be walking in Chicago in a crack house district than going to Mexico right now. Today was the second in-person meeting between Biden and Lopez at the White House. First Lady Jill Biden hosted Mexican's First Lady during the spring White House celebration of Cinco de Mayo. Discussion come just before Biden leaves for Israel, the West Bank, and Saudi Arabia. Senator Biden administration officials, or senior Biden administration officials, said the meeting will lead to both countries announcing joint actions to modernize and improve infrastructure along key parts of the 2,000-mile border, enhance law enforcement cooperation against fentanyl smuggling, and promote clean energy, which means AOC wins again. Biden said that the major anti-smuggling operation against fentanyl traffickers has been underway since April and has led to more than 3,000 arrests. Despite broad agreement on attempting to increase legal migration, the Biden administration has been less clear about how much it'll urge Mexico to stop people heading through its territory and crossing illegally into America. That was a key demand of Biden's predecessor, President Donald Trump. Vice President Kamala Harris, who has been tasked with exploring the root causes of immigration across Latin America, as if you needed a way to figure that shit out. I can tell you why. Go down there and visit Central and South America and Mexico. It's fucking shithole countries. It's run by dictators. They've gone to hell. And they've let the cartel take it over. And tourists aren't going there anymore. They go to places like Cozumel, for instance, places where it's safe. Also, Lopez on Tuesday was featured at a breakfast and this morning with them, speaking with Mexico's president outside the Naval Observatory, which is the vice president's residence. Harris referenced her past visits to his country. This time I spent with you in Mexico was so special to me, she said, noting the friendship that has been important to both nations. She is our friend, Lopez said, but also a woman with principles, an intelligent woman, honest. She is partisan and equal. So I congratulate the American people because they have a first order vice president. We have always been speaking for the benefits of our people and both our nations. Madam, you're clueless. Utterly just freaking clueless. Today, we're going to do exactly the same thing. Such positivity aside, some potential thorny issues still loom. Lopez has criticized the U.S. for being more forthcoming with military aid to Ukraine than social assistance to Central America. He's also been more vocal about attempting to tamp down inflation than curb climate change or promote energy efficiency. U.S. officials want Lopez to retreat on his reliance of fossil fuels and his efforts to prioritize his country's state-owned electrical utility at the expense of foreign-built plants powered by natural gas and renewable energy. Mexico's president also has decried U.S. efforts to extradite WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange from the UK for prosecution, and vowed before Tuesday's meeting began that he would bring it up. Biden administration's officials said no topic was off the table and promised Biden would be ready. This is so... It's like a Saturday Night Live skit gone bad. You couldn't make this shit up if you tried. Men can have babies? Now, look, I've had, just like all of you have, okay, this is a topic that's kind of nasty to talk about, but, look, if you've ever been constipated really bad, you're a guy, all right, maybe that feels like what it's like to have a baby come out of your vagina. I don't know, but I can tell you this much. It's that was Maryland. You're right. It's not a watermelon. So I'm glad that men can't have babies. I really am. Per militarynews.com, the Pentagon said this morning that it killed a leader of the Islamic State group in Syria in a drone strike. Congratulations. U.S. Central Command said in a news release that Mahar al-Ajal was killed Tuesday, and an unidentified senior official in the Islamic State group was seriously injured. Pentagon said there were no civilian casualties, though it wasn't possible to immediately confirm that information. The U.S. carried out the strike in Syria close to the Turkish border. The Islamic State group, at the height of its power, controlled more than 40,000 square miles from Syria to Iraq and ruled more than 8 million people. While the group's territory state collapsed in 2019, its leaders have turned to guerrilla tactics and have been able to efficiently restructure themselves in an organizational way. So let me explain to you what's fixing to happen. And this is pretty simple. There's a huge vacuum right now in the Middle East. In a place like Syria and Afghanistan, for instance. And they're regrouping. And they want to kill Americans. That's what they want to do. And there's going to be another 9/11 event that's going to shock the world. And this time, you can't say the writing wasn't on the wall. The red flags weren't everywhere. Because we pulled out of a war that I agree we shouldn't have been fighting anymore. But we pulled out in a way that left them with billions of dollars of our military equipment. And they're going to use it They're going to learn to use it. And it's going to be used to kill Americans and to kill our allies. That in itself is a treasonous act. There's no other way of putting it. Aiding and abetting the enemy. That's what took place last year. And it's sad. It shouldn't have happened the way it did. And during the withdrawal, more American service members were killed, as we all know. So currently, the only place that they talk about on the news is Syria, where we have a lot of special operators working. But there are American forces in many other places across the globe that I will not go into because the enemy doesn't need to know any more than they already know that comes out of places like Fox News or CNN. But until we pull our heads out of our ass and remember our history, then we're bound to repeat it. And I remember very, very well 9/11 and that sinking feeling in my heart and my soul as I watched those Twin Towers come down, the attack on the Pentagon. It was devastating. And then slowly but surely more things came to light, such as the time that our special forces literally were looking through a scope at Osama bin Laden and had the chance to take him out. And Bill Clinton was the president and said no. The only way to save this country is either Democrats stop being stupid and go back to the original party of JFK, the party I grew up with when I was a Democrat, that literally believed in peace through superior firepower. Stop attacking our military. Stop calling our veterans terrorists. And that came right from, who else but Alihan Omar. Just stop with all the crazy, silly shit that you're doing, Democrats. For crying out loud, just stop it. Wake up. Realize what's happening around you, and let's come to solutions of how we're going to fix this problem. And if you don't, and you don't do it really, really quickly, your days are over with at midterms. And I really, really hope that Joe Biden is serious about running for president again, and that the Democrats don't throw his ass out. But you heard it from me. I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen. Joe Biden will be removed from office by the Democrat Party. And that's going to happen soon. Sadly, it puts Kamala Harris in the position. And then when that happens, there's not a snowball chance in hell she will win the presidency. So our focus is midterms. We went back to the House and the Senate. You get your friends out to vote. You start sharing conservatives' videos like this one, for instance. You start passing the word around. Let people know the factual information instead of the spin that's being told to them. And with God's help, we're going to win back the House and the Senate. We're going to stop this current administration from continuing to destroy us. And then in 2024, we're going to win back 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And then the fight is on for conservatives and Republicans to hold, we the people, to hold them accountable for their actions. Because the last time Republicans controlled all three branches of government, they didn't do jack shit. Mm-hmm. And I'll be damned if I want to see that happen again. Mm-mm. When we have a chance and an opportunity to fix this once and for all. Haven't already done so, please go to douglasducote.com. Check out the website. Like this channel, subscribe to it, ring the bell, let your family and friends know about it. Share the videos as well. And remember what our forefathers and all of the men and women since then fought for: our freedoms, our Bill of Rights, our Constitution. They actually mean something. They are in stone, and they're not to be fucked with like this administration is currently doing. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders and their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless each of you. Thank you for tuning in. I will not be doing a show Thursday night. This is the only show that will be up this week. I have to go back to the other side of the state to assist my mother and my father with their health issues that are going on that everybody's aware of. And that takes priority. Family takes priority. So there will probably be some videos that will come out between now and next Tuesday when the show should air. And so I hope you will like those and share them with your family and friends. All right, folks. Thank you. God bless you. And I'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.